we should put in action all the measures that are put there so that we can save lives, inshallah ta'ala. And foremost, we should not forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Allah knows why this is happening. Because whatever He does, He knows why He's doing it. My last message is to appeal to the public. If the president, like I heard some people are very angry because the president said no public transport, no buses, no commuters, no motorbikes. It is not because the president, that's what he wants, but because of what is happening in the whole world, that's the best way for, the best way for us.
Schools have been shut down for 32 days due to coronavirus pandemic. To keep your kids safe and educated, you don't have to get into your pockets. STV brings teachers to your living room. Select and learn with STV.
Candidates and semi-candidates out there, welcome to yet another STV Select and Learn edition. Learning away from school, this time round in your comfort zone. My name is Katende Yusuf. I'm going to be running you through English. This time round we are having voices. Voices. A voice is what comes out of a person's speech. And voices are brought in two tenses. Remember, in P3, P4, P5, and P6, you must have learned about tenses. Now, those tenses are expressed in different voices. So, where we show actions done by a person, and then the time when the actions are done. So, we are going to go through those voices in each of the different tenses. As I told you, a tense is a time when an action supported by a verb is done. And a verb is a doing word which commands man to do an action. So we always do, or man always does different actions. Now the time pattern when he does the actions varies. There are actions that are done on a daily basis, actions that are done just at a moment, actions that are taking place right now. For example, right now we are learning English. And what are we learning? We are learning about voices. So we have actions that take place at that very time, actions that take place daily, actions that have just taken place, actions that will take place the coming time, actions that took place some other past time. So we have different actions that take place at different times. So we are going to express such actions in different tenses. And we are beginning with what we call active voice in present simple tense. Like I did say, a present simple tense is a tense expressing a time, sometime, or actions that are done every day, actions that are done on a daily basis. There are wordings that we call adverbs of time that express that this is an everyday action. Issues to do with usually, normally, occasionally, often, sometimes, regularly, normally, always, every Wednesday, Sundays, Mondays. So those are adverbs of time which express an everyday tense. Now actions that we always do, we shall express them in this way. An active voice means where somebody or where a speaker takes part in doing an action, where a person is involved doing an action in present tense, present simple tense. That is, somebody does the action on a daily basis. Now, when you talk about passive voice, for passive voice, here the word passive means you are not directly involved, but you have the result, the impact. So for a passive voice, here we are more interested in the results. For example, somebody cuts a tree. So that is active. One person is taking part in cutting a tree. That is on a daily basis. So if we are to represent that, we shall say a tree is cut by a man. A tree is cut by a man. What does it mean? That we were more interested in the result, or in results that were done, not the doer of the action. That's where the difference comes in. Now, when we are dealing with the active to passive voice, we need to know some changes. Changes that we consider. Changes that we consider. Changes from active to passive. Here, pronouns do change. An example, Iggy. We shall have we changing to us. We shall have he changing to him. We shall have she changing to her. So I can take an example and I say, the man cuts a tree. That's a noun. Man is a noun. When we are changing to passive, we shall say, a tree is cut by a man. When we say, he eats food every day. Now when you look at he, a pronoun, eats, verb, action verb, food, a noun, every day, time, adverb of time, that shows when somebody does the action. He eats food every day. Now when I'm changing to passive voice, we shall have to say, we shall now begin with what was last coming first. And the main verb is always in past participle. That is also another change you need to know. When you are changing from active to passive, the main verb has to be in past participle. And also, the first word becomes last and the last word becomes first. So, as an example here, the man eats food every day. Every day. The passive will be, since we said that the first word becomes last and the last word becomes first, the passive will be, food is eaten by the man every day. We shall say, food is eaten by the man every day. Okay? So the eaten is the verb in past participle, which I initially said that the main verb is always in past participle. What was first? The man eats food. Now becomes last. Now food begins. What do we do? You organize it like this. Food, which is noun, or the subject, the object begins, followed by the helping verb is, and it's is which shows the present simple tense. Then eaten is the main verb in past participle. Then by, a preposition which shows the human agent, which shows by whom some action was done, followed by the doer of the action. And then lastly, that adverb of time that shows the person who did the action. Okay? So rightly we shall have in passive voice, food is eaten by the man every day. So it's always the adverb of time which is the last. That's the order. Another example. Another example can be he plays football. Okay, very active, taking part. He plays football. They have not indicated the what? The adverb of time when somebody, but we always know that we are in present simple tense. The passive voice of this shall be, we begin with the noun, last. What was last becomes first, and what was first becomes last. We shall say, football is played by him. This is what I said. Organize it in this manner. You'll have the noun first, followed by the helping verb, followed by the verb in past participle, followed by a preposition which shows the human agent who did the action, followed by the pronoun which has changed from he to him, like I initially said. We may have an instance where somebody, the noun is in plural, and then we say, as active, we can say, she picks flowers. She picks flowers. Okay? She picks flowers. The action the girl always does. She picks flowers. When we are changing to passive, Remember I said, treat the first word as the last and the last word as the first. We shall say, the noun now becomes first. Flowers are picked by her. If there is an adverb of time, please, it always comes last. Okay, showing the time when some action was done. So now, because the noun flowers was in plural, that's why we have used the helping verb are in plural. Now here, the noun football was in singular. Uniform here, we just used is. We can say, the man picks a mango. The man picks a mango. When you are changing to passive, we shall say, a mango is picked by the man. Because mango is singular, goes with the singular verb, is. And so, that's what we call present simple tense, active to passive voice. Like I said, we have different tenses. I need to go now to another tense. That is present continuous. This is B. Present continuous tense. Passive. Here, like I said, here, still do the same. Treat the first word as the last and the last word as the first. Okay? The main verb is always in past participle. Don't forget that one. Okay? Because of the continuous action, we shall use the word being. Being is used here to show the continuous tense. Being here is used to show the continuous tense. Now, they will say, we can take an example. We say, the man is picking flowers. Remember, like in P6, you talked about present continuous tense, which expresses an action which is going on right now at that particular period of time when the speaker is talking. Therefore, to express the present continuous, we use is and are still. Is for singular nouns and pronouns, and then are for plural nouns, for pronouns and pronouns. For example, here this tense, we shall have ing ending verb. The main verb ends in ing. You can similarly call it the now tense. Reason being that it expresses what is taking place at that period of time. So the word being in passive voice shall be eminent. Shall be eminent. It will be showing the action that is going on. An example. An example. Active. The boy is picking flowers. Because we are saying the boy is picking flowers here, ing ending, therefore, we shall bring in the word being. So the being will stand in for the present continuous action. And therefore, we shall say, flowers are being picked by the boy. Flowers are being picked by the boy. Let us look at that. So the passive. Flowers, like I said, treat the last word as the last, and the first word as the last word as the first, and first word as the last. Flowers are being picked by the boy. So, flowers are being picked by the boy. The being stands in for the continuous action. Another example, we can say active. We are eating mangoes. We are eating mangoes. We are eating mangoes. The action going on is eating mangoes. Then, when we are to make it passive, we are eating mangoes. We shall say, mangoes are being eaten by us. We changes to us, like I initially said. Then, the eating, which is present continuous, will be represented by being. And the being will represent the ing action verb. And then we shall change eating to eaten. And so, the passive will be, mangoes are being eaten by us. Say, mangoes are being eaten by us. Okay? So now, this being stands in for the action verb, which is ing. So we change it to past participle eaten, and we shall have mangoes are being eaten by us. Here, my good students, what should you note? That when you are dealing with the present continuous tense, there should be ing, that is being, to come in for the ing. When you are and the verbs we shall use is an are as the helping verb. Still in present simple tense, action that are always taking place, we shall use is and are. But this time for the present simple tense, like I said, we don't use the word being. Now we have another tense, the third tense, which is the present perfect tense of has and have. How do you represent the present perfect tense of has and have. So once you see has and have in your sentence, get to know that is a present perfect tense. The word perfect means you are so sure of what you are doing. You are so sure that something will happen, or something has happened, or something is happening. Very perfect. Has. He has eaten food. They have eaten mangoes. You are sure that they have eaten the mangoes. You are so sure that the boy has has played football. When we are to represent that in passive voice, the boy has played football. Has, that means some action has just been done, and the results are still evident. That is what we call the present perfect tense. It shows an action which has just been done, but completed, but the results are still evident. My students, here we shall say, this is the present, this is C, present perfect tense, passive. Constant here, I say, initially, treat the first word as the last and the last word as the first. That's principle number one. Principle number two, the main verb is always in past participle. For the issue of present perfect, we shall use has and have. So, allow me pen off here for a while. As we come back, we shall expound more on present perfect tense, passive, and see how actions are done, and then report them in passive voice. Thank you for a while now.
Schools have been shut down for 32 days due to coronavirus pandemic. To keep your kids safe and educated, you don't have to get into your pockets. STV brings teachers to your living room. Select and learn with STV.
Welcome back from that short break. We are continuing with our active to passive voice. This time round, we went for a short break. We are looking at the present perfect tense. I said when you come across a sentence which has these two helping verbs, has and have, those are what we call present perfect helping verb. And the main verb should always be in past participle. An example, you can say he has eaten mangoes. He has eaten mangoes. I tell you, present perfect tense expresses an action that has just been done a few minutes back, and the results are still evident. So he has eaten mangoes. That's an active voice sentence. When we change to passive voice, I have told you we use has and have plus been. Okay? Plus been. And so we shall say he has eaten mangoes. And so the passive shall be mangoes have been eaten by him. Okay? He has written letters. He has written letters. Active. Passive. Letters have been written by him. So we have examples here. Active. He has eaten mangoes. He has eaten mangoes. When you change it to passive, treat the first word as the last and the last word as the first. We shall have to say, mangoes have been eaten by him. So we bring in the element of the been plus has and have, and say, we shall say, mangoes have. Because they are many, we bring in have. Then been eaten by him. Mangoes have been eaten by him. We can have another example. Example. Example 2. Active. Active. We shall say, he has played football. He has played football. Okay? Has is their helping verb in present perfect. He has played football. When we come to passive, we shall begin with what was last and say, football has been played by him. Football has been played by him. Football has been played by him. So this one expresses a present perfect active voice, showing the actions. Now when you say football has been played by him, you are now, the main verb is in past participle, and it has changed to has been played by him. He changes to him. There has now, we add on the been. Another tense, active to passive, different tense is the now we have the we have another tense, active, that is an D, this is the past simple tense passive. Here we treat the first word as the last and the last word as the first. Still, like initially we did. And we are saying here, we shall have verbs to do with was and to were. Okay? As the helping verbs. Was and were as the helping verbs. Now, since we are saying treat the first word as the last and the last word as the first, the main verb is always in past participle. Now, these are the helping verbs that work for us. Examples. active. He ate said it. The past simple tense passive. Here we use was and were as the helping verbs. Helping verbs. Okay? Now, examples. I said active. He ate food. By the word past, I mean the main verb is in past tense. He ate food. Past tense expresses an action which happened some time back, some days back, some years, some months back. It shows a past time, time that has gone. They always have an adverb of time, which is yesterday, last week, last month, two days ago, or a couple of days ago, or a couple of days back. Since I've said we use was and were as the helping verbs in past tense, we shall say, because food here is uncountable, we shall say passive. Food was eaten by him. This is example 1. Example 2, active. She plucked. She plucked flowers. She plucked flowers yesterday. She plucked flowers yesterday. Yesterday shows an action which happened some past time. Now, flowers are many. Unlike for the food, flowers are many. Therefore, we are going to apply were as the helping verb, and we shall therefore say flowers were plucked by her yesterday. Flowers were plucked by her yesterday. Full stop. Okay? Now, because flowers were many, that's why we use were. And we said flowers were plucked by her yesterday. Now, were is the helping verb to come in for the plural noun. And then plucked is the verb, main verb in past participle, which we initially said that when you are changing from active to passive, the main verb is always in past participle. There are these helping verbs which tell us the tense in which the active was. Now, this is some other tense. Still, we have what we call the past continuous tense. The past continuous tense as another tense that is in active. Past continuous tense. passive. Here, my students, past continuous, it's a tense which shows actions that were done in the past, but they were going on. So, since we said active shows actions that some actions someone is doing, or somebody has done, somebody was doing, somebody will do, somebody always does. For now, actions are in past continuous tense. So these are two tenses in one. One past and the other one continuous, meaning that the actions were done some time back, but at that time they were going on. So now when we are putting in active voice, we shall use words like still. Because of the past, helping verbs will be was and were, plus being, and the being represents the continuous action. The being represents the continuous action. The was and were showing that the actions were done some time back and they were continuing. Okay? Take a look at this example. Example 1, active. I have shortened it to act, but it's active, active. You can say Tita was playing football. Tita was playing football. Now, the action was done in the past, but the action was going on in the past. When we are, because of the word playing, which is a continuous verb, we shall say football now, which was last, appears at the beginning. And so it will be football was being played by Tita. Football was being played by Tita. Okay? So, football was being played by Tita. The action was in the past. Tita was playing football. So, this is the past continuous tense, active to passive. Mark you, pronouns change, and the time pattern also change. Here we consider the helping verbs. Example 2, we can say active. The boys were eating mangoes. Mangoes are many, and two, the boys are many. So, were is the helping verb for the pronoun of boys. Therefore, its passive shall be mangoes. Because mangoes are many, so we shall say mangoes were being eaten by the boys. Okay? So, boys were eating mangoes. That was past continuous. Actions that were going on in the past. Now, when we are putting in a passive voice, we have to say mangoes were being eaten by the boys. So, in this case, actions sound more than the doer of the very actions. So that is passive voice. So Tita was playing football. Football was being played by Tita. The boys were eating mangoes. Mangoes were being eaten by the boys. So mark this, please, students. Now, when your main verb ends in ing, please don't forget bringing in being in your passive voice. And rule number 1, the main verb is always in past participle. The were and the was, the is and the are, the has and the have, the had are the helping verbs which tell us the tense when the actions were done, are done, will be done, have been done, or are done regularly. So since we have different tenses, so this is some other tense. We shall have also the past perfect tense. Okay? So that is some other tense, which is past perfect tense. For the past perfect tense expresses had. Had is the past perfect. So this one shows actions that were done sometime. So here we shall have had as the helping verb. Had as the helping verb. Still, treat the first word as the last and the last word as the first. The main verb is always in past participle. Examples. So when you see a sentence which has the word heard as the helping verb, that is a past perfect tense sentence. And so we shall have as in active here, we shall say, he had eaten sweets. He had eaten sweets. He had eaten sweets. Had is the helping verb in past perfect. Eaten is the verb in past participle. Here, we are going to get had plus been. Plus been. And say, we shall say, had been. Since we say treat the first word as the last and the last word as the first, we shall have to say passive will be sweets. Sweets had been eaten by him. Food, rather sweets, had been eaten by him. So had been comes in for the past perfect. And then the eaten, the verb in past participle. And then by preposition which shows who did the action or who does the action. Him, a pronoun that has been substituting he. He changes to him. She changes to her. We changes to us. Example number 2. So we shall say active. They had seen a snake. They had seen a snake. To put the passive here, we shall say, a snake now begins. A snake had been seen by them. Okay? A snake had been seen by them. They had seen a snake. That is active, passive voice. A snake had been seen by them. Treat the first word as the last and the last word as the first. So these are some of the examples under what we call past perfect tense, active to passive. Treat the first word as the last and the last word as the first. Had plus been. It's the had which shows the past perfect tense. Because we are changing to past perfect passive, so we bring in the been and say, he had eaten sweets. Sweets had been eaten by him. They had seen a snake. A snake had been seen by them. So we have another tense. And this time round is what we call the past perfect continuous tense. Here, students, past perfect continuous. The word continuous shows actions that go on or are going on at that particular period of time. But this time round, past perfect, which means we are going to have had been plus the verb in ing. Had been plus the verb in ing. Take for example, he had been eating mangoes. He had been eating mangoes. I told you, when you see had expresses a past perfect, and has, have, they express a present perfect. Had been eating mangoes, that is past perfect continuous tense. When you are expressing in passive, you will say, mangoes had been being eaten by them or him, depending on the subject given. So, because of the eating mangoes, we shall bring in the word being. So, whenever you come across being, I mean, main verb eating, playing, sleeping, writing, your passive voice will have the word being. Let us take an example here. So this was the past perfect continuous. Past perfect continuous tense. So here we shall have had been plus being. Had been plus being as the helping verbs. And examples here. I already told you that being comes in for the continuous action. One example. This is had been plus being. So we shall say active we shall have he had been playing football. He had been playing football. Had he been playing. So the had been playing is the verb in the tense in past perfect continuous. When we change it to passive, we shall have to say football now begins. So we shall say football had been being, which represents the continuous, being played. The verb in past participle, played by him. Football had been being played by him. So, had been being played by him is the past perfect continuous tense. Example 2. We can say active. They had been singing nice songs. They had been singing nice songs. When you are putting this in a passive voice, you will say nice songs had been being sung by them. This is passive. Nice songs had been being sung by them. They changing to them. Now singing, which is in continuous, is represented by being. And so the main verb changes to past participle. And we shall rightly have they had been singing nice songs. We shall have nice songs had been being sung by them. That is past perfect continuous tense. We have looked at present simple tense, active to passive, present continuous tense, active to passive, present perfect tense, active to passive, present perfect continuous tense, active to passive. Now we had past simple tense, active to passive, past continuous tense, active to passive, and now we have past perfect continuous tense, active to passive. I want us to go to another simple tense, which is the future. Future active to passive. So we have future simple tense passive. Like I said initially, future simple tense passive. Treat the first word as the last and the last word as the first. And the main verb is always in past participle. When you talk about future, we shall have will and shall. Will and shall. Okay? As the helping verbs. Plus be. Will be, shall be. So mark those changes. Mark those verbs that change. And don't forget that the main verb is always in past participle. We all know that future simple tense expresses an action which will take place the coming time. Okay, it has not yet been done. It wasn't done. It's not being done, but it will be done the coming time. That is the future simple tense. Like other tenses, also future simple tense has forms. It has present future simple tense. It has future perfect. It has the future continuous and the future perfect continuous. But for now, for real, we are looking at future simple tense, active to passive. How do we go about this? Here, I've said we use will and shall as the helping verb. And then we bring in be plus be. Therefore, students, we shall have he will eat mangoes. So mangoes will be eaten by him. So will plus be and shall plus be will make our future simple tense active to passive. Don't forget, the main verb is always in past participle. They are the will and the shall which tell us the tense in which the action is done. So here, with examples, we can say 1, active, active. They will bring books tomorrow. They will bring books tomorrow. So they will bring books tomorrow is the future. It is something that will be done some coming time. Not yet been done, but some other time. Maybe tomorrow. Okay? Now, we have just said that will and shall are applied here, plus be. These are the helping verb. Behind your mindset should be that the main verb is always in past participle tense. Here we go. As the passive. Since we said we shall bring in the will and the shall plus be, so treat the first word as the last and the last word as the first. Therefore, for this case, it's not the noun last year. It was the adverb of time last. Therefore, what we shall do, we shall begin with the books and say, books will be brought by them. Books will be brought by them. They will bring books. So books will be brought by them. Active. I shall listen to music. Okay? So these are sentences from active voice to passive voice in interrogative or question form, where someone wants to seek for information. And so you respond it like that. So if you have got who, will change to by whom, subject. Now what, by, will change to by what. So we had examples. Who stole my book? Then the passive shall be, by whom was my book stolen? Then what killed my dog? By what was my dog killed? So active to passive voice. So for now, so remember I said active to passive voice these are mediums through which sentences are expressed, actions are expressed. So we are changing them from side A to side B using that forum. What should we note? That changes of pronouns are very important. Number 2, the main verb remains in past participle, rather changes to past participle. So the helping verbs of is and are work for present simple tense. Still is and are work for present continuous tense. Was and were work for past simple tense. Has and have plus been work for present perfect tense. Had works for past perfect tense. If there is ing present continuous tense, present perfect continuous, past perfect continuous, future perfect continuous, future continuous, there should be the word being. And when adverbs of time are used, they should be placed last. Allow me switch on to something else which is also tested out there as you've been doing your exams, your studies at school. You've been looking at what we call question tags. Question tags. What an interesting subtopic question tags are. What are question tags? What are question tags? Question tags are simply short questions put at the end of a statement. A statement. Short questions, my students. Question tags are short questions that are put at the end of a statement. We have two types of question tags. We have the positive and the negative. We need to know what are the positive question tags and what are the negative question tags. Please, we know right from P4 that negatives, these are don'ts. They express what is not allowed or what is not to be done. And positives, these ones express a go ahead. Please continue. This is good. You like, take it. So those are positives. They always encourage you to do. And the negatives, they always discourage you to do something. Therefore, from the active to passive, we are going to handle something sensitive still now. In English, remember English is practice. There are some areas where people forget. And these are numbers that come and children fail. Why fail? When we have a chance here to take part, to learn from your home. This time round, via the STV Select and Learn edition. In the house, Teacher Katende. Thank you so much.
Schools have been shut down for 32 days due to coronavirus pandemic. To keep your kids safe and educated, you don't have to get into your pockets. STV brings teachers to your living room. Select and learn with STV.
Hey guys, you're watching STV. Select for fun.
Polen hat heute Nacht zum ersten Mal auf unserem eigenen Territorium auch nicht bereit regulären Soldaten geschossen. Seit 5:45 Uhr wird jetzt zurückgeschossen. Die Frage ist, wollt ihr den totalen Krieg? Wollen Sie, wenn nötig, totale und radikale, als Sie uns heute überhaupt erst vorstellen können?
Early 1945 on Latvia's Baltic coast. For several months, the German Army Group North had been in